Hello there. I am C. I also go by UndergroundSea. I have been coming to DomCon since the very first one in April 2004. I'm involved in different ways. Some of the key things I do are I am the liaison for the guests of honor, and I also coordinate service at the ladies' tea. And I'm grateful that I get to do both. I'm trying to let them see it's just another way of being human, just another way of relating. When we do kink, we are simultaneously interacting maybe at a social level. When we do kink, we're feeling maybe a greater social bond. Sometimes what we're doing, maybe it feels like another, spiritually connecting with somebody. It can be devotion. It can be just this utter focus on each other. And so that's what I'm hoping people will see. Kink is just another way of being human.
Welcome to the Elevate and Dominate podcast, where we dive deep into the world of dominance and submission, kink, and everything BDSM. I'm Goddess Arroya, here to challenge the myths, break down taboos, and empower you in your journey.
And I'm Mistress Odessa. We're here to educate, inform, and explore the truths of power exchange, consent, and the psychology behind kink. Because knowledge is the key to safe, fulfilling play.
And this is Orpheus Black. This isn't about play. It's about connection, growth, and understanding the deeper layers of dominance and submission. So whether you're a seasoned player or just beginning your journey, this is for you.
Let's elevate the conversation
And dominate the narrative.
Welcome
to Elevate and Dominate.
Greetings, lovely listeners.
Hello there. I am C. I also go by UndergroundSea. I have been coming to DomCon since the very first one in April 2004. I'm involved in different ways. Some of the key things I do are I am the liaison for the guests of honor, and I also coordinate service at the ladies' tea. And I'm grateful that I get to do both. I have been active in the kink community for over 25 years. And that's what I'm going to talk about a bit today. Just how common is kink and what becoming involved in the kink community means. So how common is kink in society across the population? There's one study on the Kinsey Institute that says that 12% of women and 22% of men responded erotically to books with overt BDSM themes, like The Story of O. And if you went to things like, hey, who likes to be tied up, who likes to be scratched, that number jumps up to about 50%. But I think that metric there is pretty reliable. That's a pretty strong indicator that somebody has an interest. Now, this study was done in the 50s, I think, so it was done a while back. And so you can, I think safely say that it's more easier for somebody to say, hey, yes, I'm into that today than it might have been back then. So those numbers might be underreported. A little over 10 years ago, I looked up some numbers on FetLife, and less than 0.5% of the U.S. population was on FetLife, which means that there's a large number of people who have the interest, who have not yet found a way, or the thirst hasn't become urgent enough for them to go, figure out how to quench it. So there are a lot of people out there in society who have the interest, but are not actively pursuing BDSM. But there's more. Maybe they are. I once attended a presentation by a group called the Science of BDSM. It's a group of academic researchers in a university in Illinois, and their research is focused on kink. And I'm so glad that that's happening. They once talked about how they did a survey where they asked people, are you into BDSM? And they said no. And then they went down and checked off some activities which they liked, and a lot of them fell into BDSM. So there are people who are not either associating or perhaps distancing themselves from BDSM just because maybe there's no universal agreement about the term. I think kink is going to become more accepted. The way homosexuality is today, I think, we're moving in that direction. And I think that I personally feel gratitude towards the queer community for paving that path, for taking the risks, for going through the suffering that they had to do, for doing the hard work that has now made non-mainstream sexuality, a more acceptable thing. I think that we benefit from that. I once attended a class by Jack Ranella. He is an educator. He's written books. He used to write a weekly column. He ran for the Illinois Congress as an out gay leatherman. And he once gave a class about the history of sexuality. This book came out. This psychologist coined these terms. This movie came out that affected fashion and image in gay leather culture. Stonewall happened. I thought it was a really fascinating presentation. So I went up to him at the end and I said, "Hey, Jack, I see how some of the things like the academia saying that homosexuality is not a pathology, how political activism led to changes at the institutional level. What do you think helped change happen at the societal level?" And he thought two things helped. One, he thought that non-mainstream sexuality appearing in media let people know they were not alone. That perhaps inspired them to seek out others. And when they began to commune with the others, that helped them become more comfortable about that aspect of their identity. I can personally relate with that. Becoming involved with the kink community has helped me become more comfortable about my identity or that part of my identity. And he felt that this collective coming out really helped change societal attitudes. It's no longer some faceless person who you demonize. Now, it was your sibling or your colleague or your friend or perhaps even your spouse. So that's one lesson I took away from him. I have found that maybe I overestimated how people would react negatively to kink. I have come out to some people and it went very easily. When that does happen, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help them see the humanity of kink. I'm trying to let them see it's just another way of being human, just another way of relating. When we do kink, we are simultaneously interacting maybe at a social level. When we do kink, we're feeling maybe a greater social bond. Sometimes what we're doing, maybe it feels like another, spiritually connecting with somebody. It can be devotion. It can be just this utter focus on each other. And so that's what I'm hoping people will see. Kink is just another way of being human. And, there's some people who question whether kink is, whether it's normal or not. And I think that we as a society, as well as academically, are beginning to see that it's perfectly fine. There was a study done in 2008 by a consortium of universities in Australia, and their conclusion was that kink is just, a sexual minority. They found no greater rate of dysfunction. They found no greater rate of abuse amongst people who are kinky. And I was glad to see that study. I think it helps show the rest of the world that, hey, we're just another group of people who just have additional ways of showing intimacy, of loving, of connecting. And so, yeah, those are just some ideas I wanted to share about how common kink is and how I think it's becoming more accepted and what I think helps that happen.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Elevate and Dominate podcast. We hope you enjoyed your time with us. Remember, the journey doesn't end here. Stay tuned every other week as we continue to unravel the mysteries of dominance and submission with a twist. Don't forget to follow us on social media for updates and share your thoughts using hashtag Elevate and DOMMENATE. Until next time, embrace your desires, explore the unknown, and always remember, power is meant to be shared.